Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I think that Eric Lombardi and his comment about it's time to make the Liberal Party liberal again is a call to action that applies not just to the Liberal Party, but frankly to numerous people within the political spectrum in Canada today, and in business and in public policy. Because I think what he's talking about is that we have put in place a system of rules and regulations that don't benefit us and that hamper business opportunities and hamper our opportunities to build the kind of economy and the kind of country that we want. And what it has done, and I think it's a clarion call, a call to action that Eric, really stresses, and that is that we have not built a society, an economy that is of benefit to the next generation. In fact, it's sentencing the next generation to an economic future that is far worse than their parents' generation, their grandparents' generation. I think that's wrong, and I think we need to address it, and I think we need to address it now. So Eric talks about a couple of things. The first one that I think that is critically important is housing, and how housing prices have just gotten out of control. And we all know this. We know it because, frankly, a lot of us have benefited from it, and we benefit from the outrageous inflation in housing prices. And he's right to say that that is one of the challenges about making changes, is that the people that have enjoyed 20, 30 years of home ownership have built up massive inflation and net worths based on this paper profit in their housing, because government has restricted supply and increased taxation that has restricted the costs, inflated the costs of new housing construction, which has and continue to restrict supply. And in any other industry, we would see it as monopoly rents, as oligopoly, as inappropriate, and we would object to it. If we dramatically restricted supply of milk, and milk went up by multiples of inflation over time, we would say that's wrong. We need more competition. We should allow more production of that product. But for some reason, we've allowed it in housing. And we've justified it based on NIMBYism. We've justified it based on green belts. We've justified it based on adding rules and regulations and building structures. And what it's done is it's restricted supply. His numbers, Eric's numbers, that development fees have gone from $1,300 for a two-bedroom condominium 2 decades ago, $2,500 in today's inflationary dollars, to $80,000. I don't know if he's right. I want to check it out. But if he's right, that's unbelievable. You've heard on this program before with lots of other people comments about taxation of housing being 31%, over $200,000 for a typical, starter home or condominium. The amount of down payment that people need to make, the amount that would it cost to buy such an establishment 2 decades ago. Government's take is more than the developers are making, more than the landowners are making, and it's up front. It's wrong. We have built a system, an economic system in housing, that is sentencing our young people to a less prosperous future. Why aren't we ashamed of ourselves? Why aren't we calling for action? Why is it up to people like Eric to point this out to us? And I think part of it is because we become fat and lazy. We like the fact that our homes have got $1 million or $500,000 of net equity in it, and we know that the housing prices have gone up at multiples of inflation, and we don't want to give it up. But if you sell your overvalued house and buy another overvalued house, how have you benefited? You haven't. It's monopoly money. And if housing prices went down by 20%, and became more affordable for young people, we would lose paper profit. But if we're buying a similar undervalued 20% cheaper home, we're no worse off. So we got to think about this. And I think that it is red tape, it's regulations, it's building requirements, it is NIMBYism, it's all those things that Eric talked about that have restricted supply. And I think we need to dramatically change our housing sector, even if it's challenging and difficult. We need to increase supply. We need to decrease taxes. I think some of the other things that Eric talked about are also important. I think we've got a debt position, a deficit position that even though it's under versus GDP, what the U.S. Has, I think it may be unsustainable. And too much of it is based on transfers, and not enough of it is based on infrastructure spending. We know we have to dramatically increase our government spending on military to get up to that 2% GDP. I think we need to invest dramatically more in infrastructure. And I think that that's going to increase our debt and deficit as a percentage of GDP. And so therefore we need to be more reasonable in other areas. I think that the federal bureaucracy is ballooned, and I think we need to be cognizant of that and restrict that. And I think we've underinvested in infrastructure. And I think these Trump tariffs threats give us an opportunity to have a national infrastructure plan that is something that we have neglected over the course of the last couple of years. We've just benefited from this north-south trade, haven't thought about east-west trade. We haven't thought about tying our country together from a pipeline standpoint, from a grid standpoint, from a transportation standpoint, the way that we need to and should. You think back to the threats of U.S. annexation of Western Canada prior to Confederation. What did we do to solve that? We knit our country together with a national infrastructure plan, the railways, and we gave people a reason to believe in Canada. I fear in the last couple of years we haven't given people a reason to believe in Canada, and we need to again. We need to re-cement our and redefine our sense of identity of what it means to be Canada and Canadian. I think we've lost that, and it can't just be how we're different than the United States. It's got to be how we're proud of being Canadian. And I think there are a lot of reasons to be proud of being Canadian. I do think that our healthcare system is one of the best healthcare systems in the world. Is it perfect? Could we improve upon it? No question. But it's one of the healthcare systems, the best healthcare systems in the world. I think that our educational system and the amount that we pay for our educational system is one of the best in the world. Could we improve upon it? Yes, but it is one of the best in the world. I think our society is a society we can be proud of, where we don't have the violence that we see, the prejudice that we see elsewhere in the world. I think we do come together as a society with Canadian values in a way that is wonderful and something to be treasured and celebrated. I think that I'm out in Whistler, BC right now, and my flight over was very sunny, and so I could see the beautiful expanses of the prairies and the incredible mountains of British Columbia. There's no question the natural beauty in Canada is unparalleled anywhere else in the world. I don't think enough of us go out and visit the rest of this country and realize how wonderful our natural beauty is, how wonderful the people are, how treasured we are with our natural resources, both ones that we're going to exploit and ones that we're just going to go and ski down and hike around and swim in and canoe on, and etc. I think we need to be prouder of who we are as Canadians and what Canada is and how Canada can contribute to the world. A couple of my thoughts. Thanks for joining me. I remind you I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online at www.saga960am.ca. And all my podcasts and videos are posted on YouTube, my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it on social media. I really enjoy bringing my shows to you. I hope you check me out and listen every once in a while. Thanks. Good night.